English 102, New Language Leader, Unit 7, 1.7.1, a crime lab. So, just a reminder of our objectives. So, we have covered the three first objectives. We have covered them all. And inshallah, today we're going to finish with the two remaining objectives, which are to study the use of should, must, and have to. And we're going to have a look at some of the differences that you might have among them. And we're going to practice must and have to in controlled and free writing. Before we start, just a warm-up activity, just to get you warmed up. So we have must, should, and have to. What what is the difference between them? Do you know any differences that you might have among those three modal verbs? All right? So your first task today is to tell me the difference um, among those three modal verbs. Do you have any differences that you might have among those three modal verbs? Must, should, and have to. When do we use them? Can we have any responses? Of course, I just would like to remind you that we will need your mobile phone for today's lesson, and hopefully you can prepare it from now so we can use it later. We're going to have something like a competition, and the winner is going to be given something really awesome, inshallah. It depends on your school. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to have your name and send it to your school, inshallah, and they are going to reward you handsomely, inshallah. So, do we have any differences among those three modal verbs? Must, should, and have to. I mean, there are some differences. They are similar somehow, but we do have some differences between among them. Right, I'm still waiting for your responses. As I said, they are similar, but of course there are some differences. All right. So we have Turki Abdullah. He says that must is an obligation, it is a necessity, and should is like giving advice. Excellent, Turkey Abdullah. This is correct. So must, it means that you are obliged to do something. It means that you have to do something. It means that you are forced to do something because there is a necessity. It is necessary to do something, or it is not necessary to do something if you put it in the negative form. We have Muhammad Abdul Nabi Ahmed. He says that must is stronger than should. Excellent, Muhammad. Must is stronger than should because must, it gives you the feeling that it is a rule, or it is according to the law. So you can't really break the rule, or you can't really go against the law. Whereas should, it is like, this is like advice. So you can take it or leave it. Excellent, Muhammad Abdul Nabi Ahmed. Muhammad Adil Muhammad says, we use must. He says, we use must when it is necessary. Excellent, Muhammad Adil. Excellent. All right. We have Mustafa Hani. Mustn't means that it is something that is necessary not to do something. All right. Mustafa Hani says that mustn't, we use it when there is something that is not necessary to do. Yusuf Faisal says that we use must for necessity, but should for giving advice. Excellent, Yusuf Faisal. You're correct. That is correct. That is correct. All right. So I'm going to read out the rules for you. So in English, we use must, should, and have to express obligation. As you said, obligation means it is a necessity. It is necessary to do something. However, there are a few differences or variations between these three forms in terms of meaning. So number one, must and mustn't. We use must to say that it is necessary to do something. Example, you must switch your phone off during the lesson. So this means that it is a rule that you have to follow. It is, it's like a regulation that you need to obey. All right. When it comes to the negative, so the negative is mustn't. Of course, this is the short form, but the full form is must not. Must not, which means that it is necessary not to do something. It is necessary. Be careful. Here it is, you don't say it is not necessary. It is necessary not to do something. Examples, we mustn't bring food or drink into the classroom. You mustn't take anything from the crime scene. All right. Now we have should. We use should to recommend doing something or not doing it, i.e., to tell that it is a good idea to do something. And I think some of the students said that should means that you are giving advice. And that is correct as well. Now, when you say that you should do something, it means that you are telling that person, or you are advising that person to do something or not to do something. So again, should means you recommend something or you are giving advice. Example, you should say it again. I don't think he heard it. You shouldn't use your phone in a restaurant. So it is up to you. When you say that you shouldn't use your phone in a restaurant, this is like some of the students say that it is it's not a big obligation. It means that maybe it's up to you whether to use your mobile phone or not. He is giving you advice. It is recommended, but it's not a strong obligation, as some of you said. Remember, remember, must and should are modal verbs. We use modal verbs before the main verb without to, which means you don't say, for example, you should to, or you must to. You must to go. You don't say you must to go. You must go. So after the modal verb, you just follow it with the main verb without adding to. We don't need it. And you put the verb in the infinitive form. When we say the infinitive form, it means that you don't add anything to the verb. You don't add ing. You don't say, for example, you must going, or you must, or he must eat. No, you say he must eat without adding s, or without adding ed. You don't put the verb into the past simple as well. You don't put ing. So we use the infinitive form. Infinitive form means it is the base form. You don't add anything to the verb. Number 2, the forms must and should do not change after he or she or it. So, for example, you don't say, for example, he shoulds. No, he should without s, because normally when it comes to the to those singular pronouns, he, she, or it, we normally add s to the verb. For example, he plays football every day. But when we use a modal verb like should or must, we don't say he should. Sorry, he shoulds play. He should play. No, we don't add anything. We don't change the modal verb. We don't change the form. We don't add anything. Okay. Number 3, we form questions with modal verbs by putting the verb before the subject of the question. So, for example, should we go to the restaurant? Should he drink the coffee? Must he play football? And things like that. All right. Now we have another modal verb. Okay, we have before we go on with the lesson, we have some responses from the student. We have Fahad Muhammad. He says that must is stronger than should. Yes, correct. Thank you, Fahad. We have Faris Tariq. He says that must and mustn't are used to force an order. Excellent, Faris. Thank you so much. Ayyad Muhammad. He says that must is used for requirements. Thank you, Ayyad. Muhammad Jamil. He says that we use must for things which are urgent. All right. Okay. It's not, well, I disagree with you, Muhammad Jamil. Not really. We use must for things which are urgent. I mean, we can use should as well for urgent matters. I mean, the difference is that must is like it's a rule, it's a law, whereas should is more of giving advice. Muhammad Khalid, should is used for recommendations. Excellent, I agree with you. Taha Muhammad, he says that must is for necessity. Excellent, I agree. Should is for advice. Excellent, Taha Fahad. Muhammad Samih. Must and have to are used for necessity and obligations. Should and shouldn't are used for giving advice. Excellent. Abdullah Muhammad Shams. Abdullah Muhammad Shams. He says that must means you need to. You need to do something. Excellent, Abdullah. It means that there is a need. Excellent. There is a necessity. There is a necessity to do something, or there is a need to do something. All right? Okay. Excuse me? Said Mawad? My voice is clear? Okay. All right. Okay, let's continue. Must and have to. So, must and have to are very similar. They have very similar meanings. They both mean that something is necessary, as you said. We usually use must when we believe that something is important. It is our opinion. Example, we must get up early tomorrow. We usually, we usually use have to talk about rules and laws. I think this is what we have been discussing so far. I.e., someone else thinks it is important. All right. So it's not us. It's like someone from outside, because must, it means this is what we believe. We use must according to my belief or what we believe. Whereas have to, it means there is a rule or someone that forces you to do something. Example, we have to get a visa to visit the United States. So it's not up to you, it's up to the government of the United States. So this is what we mean, that have to is from outside, whereas must is from inside. It means it's up to you. Whereas have to, it's not up to you, it's up to someone else. Remember that the negative form of must is mustn't, and have to, don't or doesn't have to. So when it comes to must, the negative form is mustn't, but have to, we use don't with I, you, we, they, and doesn't with it, she, and he. So he doesn't have to go home. He doesn't have to eat his breakfast. It doesn't have to, for example, sleep, for example. Okay, examples. We mustn't use your mobile phone in the cinema. It is not allowed. All right. 2, you don't have to use your mobile phone. You can use my office phone. So it is not necessary. So you have to be careful about the negative form of must and do not have to. They are different. They are different, as you can see. You mustn't use, it means that it is not allowed. Whereas if you say you don't have to use your mobile phone, you don't have to come tomorrow, you don't have to come to school, because there is an option which is studying online, for example. So you don't have to. It means it is not necessary. All right. Or for example, you don't have to buy breakfast because I already have one. All right. So it is not necessary. Whereas you mustn't, it means it is not allowed. All right. Grammar tip. Be careful about this. Must and have to are very similar in meaning. In the positive affirmative form, we usually use have to when we talk about laws, rules, etc. We often use must when we give our opinion, all right, that something is important or necessary. As we said, have to is from outside. This is what other people think is necessary, but must, this is an obligation that we need to follow. This is our obligation. This is my obligation. This is what I believe is true, or this is what I believe I have to do. So this is the difference between must and have to when it comes to the positive and affirmative form. However, we need to remember that the negative forms of must and have to are different in meaning. As we said, the last two examples in this slide, the last two examples. So when we say you mustn't use a mobile phone in the cinema, this is what we believe. This is our belief. But sorry, when it comes to the negative form, when it comes to the negative form, it means that it is not allowed. But if you use the negative form with have to, then it means it is not necessary. So they are different. All right, we have some practice. So I'll give you 5 minutes to do this activity, just 5 minutes. Complete these sentences about what police officers have to do or do not have to do and mustn't do. The first one is done for you as an example. All right. So number one, I have to arrive on time to work every day, which means it is necessary to arrive on time. Okay, so you have 4 sentences. I need to fill in the blanks with either have to, do not have to, do not have to do, do not have to do, and mustn't do. All right, 5 minutes. Okay, we have some responses from our students. They are saying that we have Fahad. Fahad says that he says that I think must is more British and have to is more American. I don't think so. I think must is more. You can find it more in the written form, whereas have to, you can find it more when it comes to speaking. But I don't think that must is more British and have to is more American. I disagree. I think must, you can find it in the written form, whereas have to, you can find it more in the when it comes to speaking. Okay, we have another response from Sayyid Ali Fadil Adnan Shubbar. Sayyid Ali Fadil Adnan Shubbar. He says that have to mainly expresses general obligations, while must is used for specific obligations. For example, I have to brush my teeth twice a day. I must tell you something important. to express obligation, duty, or necessity in the future or the past. Must and need are not used. Thank you, Sayyid Ali Fadil Adnan Shibbar. I think what you said is true. Have to express general obligations. Must is used for specific. When you say general, I would say outside obligation. This is what we have been discussing. Have to expresses outside obligation, whereas must, it means that this is what I believe. This is what this is my obligation. So it's not from outside. It's from my beliefs, from my convictions. Thank you, Sayyid Ali Fadil Adnan Shibbar. So I'll give you 1 more minute for this activity. Do we have any responses from our students? All right. Okay. I'm running out of time here, so I'm going to show you the answers. All right. So okay. So number 2, they have to wear a uniform, which means it is necessary to wear a uniform. They have to follow the regulations. As we said, this is from outside. When they say they have to, it means it's not up to them. It's up to the company they work for or the organization they work for. All right, which is the police station. Okay, number 3, they have to be very careful when they are at a crime scene. All right, which means it is necessary to be careful again. Okay, number 4, they mustn't damage the evidence. They mustn't damage the evidence, which means that it is necessary not to damage the evidence. Number 5, they don't have to study science. It means that there is no need, which means that it is not necessary to study science. Okay, another practice. Choose the correct answer. Choose the correct answer. Either you have 2 options. Choose one of them. I'll give you 3 minutes. 3 minutes for this activity. All right, I'll show you the answers. Okay, so you don't have to study law to be a forensic scientist, which means that it is not necessary. It means that there is no need, as some of the students said. I should spend some time with my parents. I haven't seen them for ages, which means that it is recommended. It is advisable to spend time with my parents. Number three, we mustn't commit crime. It's against the law, which means that it is necessary not to commit crimes. All right. All right. Number four, you must turn off your mobile phone in a class so that it doesn't interrupt the lesson, which means that it is not necessary to turn it off. Number five, we have to have a passport to travel outside the UK. Be careful here that have to is the modal verb. The other have is the main verb. So it might sound a little bit funny, but this is um, what we have, because we have to, which is the modal verb, and we have, which is the main verb. So we have to have a passport to travel outside the UK, which means that it is necessary. I should join the gym again. My membership has run out, which means that it is recommended. It means it is up to me here. It is advisable. So I can do it, or I should do it, or I shouldn't do it. You have to check your essays carefully when you have written them, which means that it is necessary. Number 8, we don't have to get up early today as it is a public holiday. So this means that it is not necessary. All right. All right. I'll give you 5 minutes for this activity. Complete the following sentences using either have to, must, or should. All right. So 5 minutes for this activity. Fill in the blanks with either have to, must, or should. All right. So complete the following sentences using either have to, must, or should. Let's have a look at the model answer. Number one, you have to show your passport or identity card to get on a plane. So we are using have to here because this is according to the law, according to the regulations, all right? So, and it's not up to you, it's up to them. So they force you, they make you show your passport or identity. Otherwise, you will not be able to get on the plane. That's why we are using have to instead of must. I mean, even if we have must, I mean, it is acceptable, but it is we need to use have to because it is from outside. The obligation is from outside. You should, number two, you should arrive at the airport early in case there are delays. All right. So this it is recommended here. It is recommended or advisable. Number three, you have to be 17 to drive a car in the UK. Again, this is according to the law, and it is from outside obligation. Number four, you have to complete a lot of exams, you have to complete a lot of exams, study and training to be a doctor. Again, outside obligation. Number five, you mustn't use your mobile phone during an exam. So it is you according to the law, you can't, or the rules they have, you cannot use the mobile phone during an exam. You mustn't call the emergency services if you just have a cold. Number seven, you should rest and drink lots of liquids if you have a cold. Again, this is recommendation, or it is recommended, or it is advisable. You are giving advice. Number eight, you should always get enough sleep before driving a car. Again, this is recommendation. You mustn't drive on the right side of the road in the UK. Everyone drives on the left. All right? Okay. Now, I'll give you 5 minutes more. Your job is very simple. Correct the mistakes in these sentences. I'll do number one for you. So, number one, she have to check the evidence carefully. She have to check the evidence carefully. There is a mistake in this sentence, and the correction is she has to. She has to correct the evidence carefully because she takes has, not have. So instead of have, we have to write has. So she has to check the evidence carefully. All right? So I'll give you 5 minutes more to complete this activity. All right, I'm going to show you the correct answer, the correction to these sentences. So the first one is, as I did it as an example, she has to check the evidence carefully. Number two, we mustn't eat or drink in here. All right. Number three, as I am a DNA expert, I don't have to know about guns. It means that there is no need. Number four, they should say sorry for being late. Number five, should I call him? Again, we use only do and does with have to. So, do you have to eat? Does she have to eat? All right. But when it comes to the other modal verbs like should and must, we don't need the auxiliary verb do or does. So we don't say, do I should call him? Should I call him? Must I call him? All right. Number six, you don't have to wear your uniform when you are not at work. Number seven, we mustn't make any noise. My grandfather is sleeping. Number eight, you really should go and see a doctor about that. So as we said, after the modal verb, it is followed by the infinitive. So the verb that comes after the modal verb should be in the infinitive form. We don't add anything to the verb that comes after the modal verb. Number nine, he shouldn't talk to people like that. Again, so when it comes to the negative form, we don't need the auxiliary verb doesn't or don't. We just add not. So it is shouldn't or mustn't. We don't need don't or doesn't. We don't say he doesn't must go. No, we say he mustn't, using only not. The question with, as we said, to form the question for the modal verbs, you just put them at the beginning of the question. So, must you make that terrible noise all the time? So it's not you must to make. Must you make that terrible noise all the time? Okay. So this is the end of the lesson. I was hoping to. Okay. I was hoping to play quizzes with you, but we will leave that for inshallah next time when we meet next time. Hopefully, inshallah, at the very beginning of our lesson. I would like to thank all those who participated in the chat box. Thank you so much. Just a reminder, please do the questionnaire at the end of the lesson. Please do the questionnaire and the form of this lesson as well. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you, inshallah, in the near future. Sorry, I hope to meet you, inshallah, in the near future. Thank you so much, and bye-bye for now.